Let me kind of laser in on this question. So you would be okay with restricting freedom of speech? You would be okay with restricting or creating actually speech laws if that were voted on by the masses?
If the masses want it, absolutely.
Really?
If the masses, and again, I'm wanting legitimate masses, what the bulk of the people in the country want. Yes, I absolutely would. And I'm going to use, I'm actually going to use conservative logic for a second. And conservatives frequently say, if you don't like it, leave. I'm not saying if you don't like it, leave, but I'm saying that the typical logic is if the multiple of people want something from both sides, typically that's what everyone says should happen.
No.
Can you give me an example?
The First Amendment.
Again,
doesn't matter. People, you don't get to vote on it.
Humans still chose that. Humans still wrote the First Amendment and said, yeah,
that's
this
the basis
is a law
of this
that
country.
matters.
Yeah, and it's the only country that has the First Amendment.
And it's still a human that said that. Humans that said that. And humans were the ones who said, this law is inalienable. As you said, this law is, this right is given to us no matter what. Mm-hmm. Humans still said that, and humans still absolutely have the right to change it.
I think if you're just saying that all laws should just be determined by mob rule, particularly freedom of speech, I think it's really a scary thought. And I disagree with you.
I will qualify what I said.
Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and a Senate majority right now can determine that what you say is hate speech.
I will qualify
I don't agree
for a
with
second.
That.
I will qualify that not just straight up mob rule, but mob rule and actual evidence-based science, critical thinking, things like that.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I disagree. I don't think that people should be able to vote.
And you're welcome to
on
disagree.
You
have the First Amendment right to disagree at the moment.
At the moment.
Absolutely.
But you'd be okay with someone taking it away?
As long as it's taking away things that hurt people, as long as it's taking away things that we as a science know does lead to lower well-being, does eventually incite hostility and eventual hate crime, which I know hate crime, hate speech, not the same thing, but does eventually lead to that does become a problem. And that's where the discussion needs to happen, is what speech is protected, what speech is not protected, when it does lead to problems that does affect the prosperity of people and the prosperity of our country.
Yeah, I think you've just laid out a very subjective definition and left it in the hands of not only mob rule, but then eventually bureaucrats to determine a fundamental human right. I just don't agree with you. But I appreciate taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you, man.
Again, unfortunately, you've not changed my mind. I've not changed your mind.
Well, my goal wasn't to change your mind. Your goal was to change mine. Mob rule, I
say rule of the masses and critical thinking and scholarly pursuit.
You don't get to vote on a fundamental human right.
We chose the rights. We can choose to get rid of them.
There you go. Well, I guess that's a very different worldview.
And that's fine.
I'm not okay with anyone removing your rights at all. I'm not okay with anyone stepping in and saying you don't have the right to believe what you believe or speak freely. But you're okay with someone walking in and telling someone what they can and can't say. That's terrifying.
What I'm not.
And as a sociology major, it is striking to me.
I'm not a psychology major. I'm not a
sociology. I thought you said
psychology.
Psychology. Okay. So let's go with psychology. As a psychology major, do you not see the grave risk, the much more grave risk, in centralizing the power to a government or allowing it to be tossed to a vote every single time? Because that changes that cultural fabric. A fundamental right like freedom of speech, as opposed to allowing people to speak freely. Do you not see historically the mass violence? Can you go back to your
first question before you mention the psychology, sociology? Because I'd like to talk about that before I do mention that real quick.
Well, okay.
No, could you remind me of it so I can make sure I'm responding correctly?
The question before I mentioned
yes.
it? I don't remember what the question was. So my question is this. I'm surprised, as someone you said you're a PhD candidate, so you're obviously a very smart person, how you don't see the grave risk, the much more historically, just the unbelievable risk of violence associated with centralizing the power and who determines speech and what's permissible.
It can backfire. It really can.
It always has. It's never not.
But eventually,
it's never not.
I would like to see evidence for that.
Can you point me to any single country that has restricted freedom of speech that has done better?
I simply ask you for the source.
Okay.
Can you give me the source
Nazi
on that?
Germany, Soviet Russia, Castro, Che Guevara regimes, current UK, Canada, Maoist China. Need I go on?
Absolutely. You said every country.
Can you provide me an example of every? Can you provide me an example with one country?
I'm sorry, but you said every.
Every single country that has limited freedom of speech has resulted in a net loss for human freedom.
The emphasis is on you for that. You were the one who made that claim.
Okay.
You said every.
Okay, let me put it this way: every single country that's not the United States is worse than the United States in relation to free speech laws.
Please give me an actual citation to back up your claim.
I just did.
No, a citation, please. That is a scholarly source that you are going to be able to rely on that has actually done the research for this.
Okay, so you would say that Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Maoist China, Che Guevara, Castro regime, Canada, where people. Hold on, I can't listen. I can't go through every single country. Come on, let's not do the wordplay thing.
I'm just asking you to give me a scholarly source that says that.
Okay, I don't have a scholarly source with me right now saying that Nazi Germany is worse off with speech laws than the United States.
And so what I said
you're just going to have to take my word for it.
And exactly what I said was there are plenty of examples where it doesn't work. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with that at all.
Can you point me to any example where it has?
Eventually, we can possibly get to the point where it can work, and we need to keep trying. That doesn't mean because it hasn't worked, we don't give up. Well,
you asked me for sources. One country that has better net results for human freedom and human rights by restricting speech. What's your source? One.
You know, I'm honestly going to say we're not there yet.
Okay, thank you very much. So I appreciate it, brother.
Where it can work.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, once we find that one example, that'll be great.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.